Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Gamecast, episode 414. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gast, joined by Mike Siniti.
What's up?
Corey Feinsod.
Heyo.
And Tony Korkanakis.
Hello.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners. Welcome, viewers, to 414 of the Gamecast. Ooh, we have a great topic, and I want to get to it. So let's get into what we've been up to right off the bat, so we don't miss the topic, and talk about finishing up Spider-Man. That's for me. I'm done with it, except for I haven't platinumed it yet. I'm kind of going through and just tying up on the crimes, really, are my thing.
Yeah, cleaning up the streets.
I'm cleaning up the streets right now. I have like one taskmaster thing to do and one research center, and everything else is done. And then the rest is all crimes. So it's like that's all I have left. Tony, you did it really quick. I feel like I feel like I'm swinging around waiting for crime to pop up. Is there better? Should I do it at night?
I think you should go look on the map to see which districts have crimes left to do and go there.
Well, that's what I've been doing. I've been going district by district, but I went through an entire district just swinging around. Nothing came up.
So the game got glitched on me once, where like I was literally in a zone for 10 minutes and a crime didn't pop up. I was like,
maybe that's what happened.
This is not correct. So what I did was I took a subway somewhere else and then just took the subway back, which like forced the game to reload.
Okay.
And then it was fine. Like, literally, as soon as I got out, like a second later, it's like crime. I'm like, you fucker, you motherfucker.
The game has glitched on me a few times and given me check marks on those crime fighting things that I did not do. As I
think if you did something similar before and did like part of it, it like gives you credit that you did it the last time.
All I did was airdrop down on guys because I'm like usually high up above them.
Oh yeah, I love the airdrop, but like I'll airdrop, and sorry to interrupt, but like I'll airdrop and then I'll be doing it, and then all of a sudden like I'm like, well, what were the goals? Like you didn't tell me what the objectives
and then it's
were.
like, oh, you were supposed to still take down 5 of them. It's like
but then like a lot of the time it's still like, oh, you did all this. I'm like, I didn't do any of that.
I airdropped down on the guys, and immediately the check mark went to electric web 3 guys at the same time. And I'm just like, well, I didn't just do that. Okay, so.
I'm assuming you did something similar in a similar place at one point, and they just gave you credit. I don't know, though.
Ever used an electric web, so I don't know.
I guess. No, you don't know. It's just electrify. You can like grab something.
Oh, maybe I electrocuted them in the streets. Yeah,
but
I don't know. But yeah, I've gotten a lot of the cool. My favorite suit is actually the brawler suit. So the one that you can just punch through shields and everything.
Really?
Yeah, I actually really like that power.
The suit or the power?
I actually like the suit too. Something about just having like the big. It's like just a jeans and a Spider-Man jacket. I don't know. I kind of like that. So, but I did just unlock a really nice one. That's a black and red one. That's like an armored suit. So I'll try. I haven't really gotten to see what that was. I just unlocked it and turned the game off. But yeah, I played through the whole game and very much obviously enjoyed the game a lot. We'll be having a spoiler cast of it soon. So yeah, that's really for me. That's all I've been up to. I installed.
Really?
Yeah, we will. I installed. Well, we're gonna have to do it without Corey. This is what's going to happen. Destiny owns his life.
I mean, I creepily checked his trophies.
Trophy
status.
Whoa.
Yeah, because I saw he was playing it again. He's, according to that, he's through Act 2, so there's only one more act left for him.
Oh, cool. So, yeah, I mean...
I'm hunting down some of the 6 sinister characters.
Oh, good. So, yeah, we'll get to a spoiler cast of that next week, hopefully. And we will, hopefully. But very good game. I installed Tomb Raider. Have every intention of playing that game, but
Shadow.
But I wanted to.
Forza comes out next week. You know that.
Yeah, no, it's Game Pass though. I'll get that later. So.
I'm saying.
I'll get through Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider's not a long game, and I never have to do the side missions in Tomb Raider. The first 2 games, I loved the main story, and that's really all I played it for. I got what I wanted. It was almost like God of War. It was like
I thought you were going back to Ni no Kuni.
It's gonna have to wait. So. But I'm not restarting that game, and I'm far through that game. I know that I'm just not. It's gonna have to wait. So I'm gonna play Tomb Raider after this, but I'm gonna platinum Spider-Man first because I went to play Tomb Raider. I'm like, nah, I can't. I gotta finish this game. So there's still street crimes. I gotta clean it up. I gotta clean up the city. But I got really, really quick at the web slinging now. I can just. I mean, the speed to go through the city is just. I can fly.
Once you get that little boost thing, it really helps.
Yeah, tying in like swinging while shooting and then the X button to continue the boost, and then the L and the R2 at the same time to grab on something and jump off of that. Even like jumping at the right point of your swing and just all that timing. It's like it's all there now. It's The only problem I have with this game is, and it's not the game's fault, it's Batman's fault. I got used to hitting triangle to dodge, and so every now and again my mind will just revert back to that in the middle of the fight, and I'll be like, oh, and I just take a ton of damage. I'm like, shit. I don't lose because I have like a sliver of health left. I'm like, then I remember and I'm fine. But it's happened a few times where I'm like trying, oh shit, no, wrong one. But I love the game, so that's really it for me. I've been up to. Mike, I'm guessing similar.
I'm similar. I actually did all the checked off missions first. So I did the Taskmaster stuff and the research things. Taskmaster stuff is normally okay. Research things aren't so fun. Normally.
I think I told Tony, I told you I did not like the Taskmaster stuff, and I changed my tune to the research stuff massively.
The research thing, I did 2 of those. I'm like, I'm done with these. I'm not doing them anymore.
I would, if I wasn't gonna just finish up the game.
Fuck these fish, man. Fuck
There was one.
Oh, I do like how the podcast ties into that. Sorry, go on, Mike. The James Jonah Jameson podcast ties into the research stuff.
A couple where they were just really bad.
The pigeon ones.
No, pigeon one is fine. A research one where you have like a shrinking area you have to stay in and going to.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
Things.
That one.
And then another one where it seemed to last forever, where you had to angle satellites to get to.
That one didn't take me too long.
I don't like about it is it separates you from the game, in a way where it's takes you out of the game.
If it didn't,
literally does.
I would agree. If it didn't take you out of your game, because it's hey, every time you do this loading screen, you're okay. It's if it was just something that you could do naturally, or you know what, I could trigger this while I'm doing on my way.
But the thing is I don't understand why it loads. Taskmaster's missions, they're instantaneous, on the screen.
Some of them, I think they want you to have a different time of day for whatever reason, so that's why it loads. And I don't know why exactly it matters for any of them.
Well, and then that's the problem with them, though. It's because everything else is just on your screen. You can do it at your leisure whenever you want, and then all of a sudden you have to do this research mission. It's nope, you're going to be taking you out of the experience and not doing it at your own pace. You have to finish this, otherwise you can't return to
None of them are particularly interesting.
And they're not fun. I did the fish one and I did the cloud one, and I was like, these are stupid.
But I did those. The Taskmaster things are all right, although I don't know how you get a high score on some of them.
Gotta swing, baby.
No, not even that. Not even the swinging ones. It's I don't know, whatever. But I just have a few crimes to mop up. I will say this game does appear to be pretty easily platinum because just leveling up and doing all the side stuffs, you get well over 60-70%. And normally in I know a lot of games where if you just beat the main quest and naturally you'll be at 30%. So it's just gives you the incentive, I guess, to finish it up, because I'm at 80 something right now.
Well, 56% on my game right now.
Once you finish the game, and the percentage goes up so slowly when you're just fighting crime. I don't know why. It just takes forever for me. I don't know.
Yeah,
I spent 2 hours in one of the story missions, and only went up 1%.
Yeah, I guess.
I really feel like it values the percentage of the city way over the story in that number.
It does.
But
there's so much more to do, though. Story is just one thing, whereas other stuff going on is also one thing, but there's so much more of it.
Yeah.
I do sort of feel like I'm not going to really play this until the DLC once I get there, because there's just nothing else to do. It feels a little stale to me right now, but I mean, it's still fun to swing around, I guess. But
yeah, it's fun.
I just don't like how everything else is sort of dead now, and I just have to wait for.
Well, that's the problem with this type of game is once you've seen everything, and now you just have to keep doing the same thing.
There's newspapers in the game you can pick up.
Yeah, I found one, and it's just number one of however many ever. That's not a trophy, luckily, but I don't know how many they want you to do for something to happen. I don't know. You get an XP boost or something to read certain number of newspaper papers.
XP means nothing anymore in the game.
Yeah, not at this point. But,
but I don't know.
I will say this. I will complain about this, and I don't know if this counts as a spoiler, but it's not exciting in any way. But I am a little disappointed that some of the end game type costumes you get have no powers associated with them.
Yeah, that was shocking. Yeah,
puzzled by that, actually. Why wouldn't you do that?
I did. The Iron Spider is awesome too, but love that. But
Also
I don't get into too much specifics, but
one of the first abilities you unlock in this suit is probably the best one.
That focus builder.
The web blossom is
I
probably
love the focus
best.
builder.
It's all right, but the web blossom is like the most overpowered like suit power in the game. And it's like the second one you get.
I don't know. I've used it, but I find myself swapping them in and out though to just take it around.
I did that, and then I went back to web blossom because I'm like, I wonder how good that was, and then I'm like, oh wait, this is like ridiculously overpowered.
I find myself forgetting to use that suit power quite often.
Like, I think we're talking about this way too much.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks for chiming in, Tony. But
no worries. I just think we're talking about this way too much. Yeah, we are.
Anyways, anything else, Mike?
No.
Okay. Corey.
Like Mike was saying, I did play a little bit more. Tried to get in there. I was trying to see if I could finish before tonight, but obviously, just I didn't want to like be grinding so much on it and not have fun with it. So I was like,
you don't want to make it like a task. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just like forget it. I'll just take my time with it. And I'm having fun. Like I'm having fun with it. It's just slow going because after a while, it's like, I'm just doing the same thing. I'm just doing it for the story right now. I like basically ignoring everything. But other than that, Destiny, obviously, I'm playing a lot of that. That's what's been kind of holding up this game, and it's still just like drawing me back in. There's like so much new stuff that keeps coming out, and today it is Tuesday. They have reset days, and they reset it, and there's a whole new section of the game that just got unlocked. That's larger than some of the planets that have been like released as like full standalone DLC, and it's just like unlocked just now because of certain things that happen in the game. And it's really amazing how they've done this with releasing the game and progressing the story of the game, like from the first release into the raid, and then having the raid affect more story stuff that happens after the raid. And so the raid has a chronological effect on what's going on and progress the story as well. So you're still learning things, and now this new section that's come out, more story to like flesh out what happened at the end of the base game, which is really, I mean, it's really great to draw people back in. So I've been having a lot of fun with Destiny.
Cool.
It's probably at its best.
And Tony.
Let's see. I got the Xenoblade 2 DLC expansion thing, which is pretty cool. It's really awesome because it totally changes up the way the game plays compared to the base game. Obviously, it uses a lot of the same elements, but it uses it in a completely different style. So even though it's familiar, it's still feels new because it's like, okay, I got to get the rhythm going on this one and stuff like that. So, like, thankfully, it's not as complicated, like, with, like, the orbs or anything like that. It's just kind of, like, straightforward. It's like 1, 2, 3. It's not like 1, branch out, 2, and then branch, and then, like, 3. It's just like 1, 1, 1, and, like, you're done. So that's good. But from a story point, it's really interesting because they actually pulled what I would say is, like, a Star Wars thing where, like, in the base game, like, the villain is one of like the protagonists of the DLC because it's a prequel. So you're like, you're a bad person. Like you're the bad dude.
You kind of saw this coming too. Where like, oh, I kind of want to play as this guy.
Yeah, well, they make him like right. They make him like a sympathetic villain, and he's not like just a mustache twirling. Like, haha, I'm a bad guy. It's like, I'm just, it's kind of like the Thanos thing. Is you're like, I just believe.
I have a point of view that that I believe this is the only way to do it, and
right.
Get the job done.
Right, so this game is all about, I guess, how that character gets to there, and it's kind of interesting because, from a storytelling perspective, you're just like, oh, like, it's like, what if Anakin was an annoying kid and wasn't a whiny teenager, but was, like, a caring, empathetic, like, individual that was, like, helping people? You're just like, well, how do you become a bad guy? And, like, I guess that's what I'm going to find out. But the game is really fun, obviously, and I think they did a lot of new music for that, which is awesome because I think the soundtrack was like one of the best of last year, up along with like Nier Automata. But great game. Other than that,
did you get that email with like?
Oh yeah, I got like some extra legendaries and stuff like that. I was like, cool. All right, click.
This is nice.
There's a nice little bonus there. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I think that's gonna get me back into the game again.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I have all this stuff now.
Exactly. Might as well
unlock, see what I get.
Yep.
Cool. All right, let's get into some news. We're going to start with a lead, actually. There's 2 leads this week, but one of them ties into our topic. So we'll do the first lead, which is the sad news. That Telltale Games is shutting it down entirely. They're going to have a 25-man skeleton crew, and that's only going to wrap up basically patches or something like that, right? And that's it.
They're just finishing up
Minecraft story mode for
Minecraft
Netflix.
Nice.
They have a show on Netflix.
Yes. So that's all they're doing. And
contract obligated to finish.
Yeah. Otherwise, they would have shut down. It's a sad tale, and and
the tales that go untold.
Yeah. It's just.
It really sucks because I feel like, for the past couple of years, we've even talked about it every time they come out.
Jim is super pissed off.
Yes, I am.
He finally got an announcement that he's been waiting for.
Well, because
I was too.
They overreached. They overreached.
And that's the thing. It's really unfortunate because I would say, Telltale Games, they've had some of the best storytellers and writers in terms of getting.
The problem is everybody left too with all the changes they were making. All the people that did the original Walking Dead and and The Wolf Among Us, they're gone. They weren't here.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
But it's still super sad because and you can actually go and find the information. Like they peaked with Walking Dead season 1. Like that just absolutely blew up because I'm pretty sure it was like a perfect storm of right IP that was exploding as well in the TV side of things and the comic side of things. It was an amazing story. It was one of the first, I would say, modern story-focused games where it's like, hey, kind of like Japanese have the visual novels. That's the equivalent of a visual novel for American audience. And I would say that was the first big one that had, good production values. Not necessarily
it was janky, but sure.
But it's
won Game of the Year for the Game Awards.
Right, yeah, and that was a pretty big deal. But it was all downhill after that. And the thing that's surprising is just it was definitely downhill, but I'd say they plateaued for a little while. Because The Wolf Among Us was fantastic. Yeah.
And Borderlands was fantastic.
Yeah, I meant from a sales perspective.
Right.
But not necessarily. Yeah.
It's
quality
sad.
Perspective, I think
quality-wise, they're good. And we were just talking about how they may have actually finally fixed their engine to make a good game. And
they just hired people a week ago.
Yeah.
Too. They were hiring still.
They overstretched. I mean, they grabbed too many IP licenses. Game of Thrones bombed. The Batman game apparently bombed, which I thought was actually pretty good. But apparently it didn't sell well, and I mean that probably.
I don't think it's Batman's fault either. Again, I think it has to do with the stigma of this is too much of the same thing. We don't want it.
Yeah,
give us something
really
different.
What it was. Yeah,
and it's the Star Wars thing we talk about in the movie cast.
Not to mention, I mean, their stuff is a lot of times their games play broken because that engine was so broken as it was. They could have spent time on fixing that, had a better quality game come out. And it would have changed things. I mean, Back to the Future, I think, is what got them moving. Wasn't that what the first game they did?
Which that and Jurassic Park.
Yeah, those were the ones that got them moving.
Janky, though. That was Walking Dead was completely different.
Sure, that's the one that blew up for them. But Back to the Future got them moving with.
I mean, it's just.
Got them.
I mean, it was a combination of things. Obviously, they overexpanded. I mean, they had. A year ago, they laid off 25% of their staff, but before then, they had 400 people for just storytelling games, which is really ridiculous. Because I mean, for that staffing, you can produce AAA games with that, Tomb Raider and stuff like that. That's on that level, not Horizon or Uncharted levels, but a step below where it's 400 to 500. That's where you do that, and you can easily get another 100 to 200. You just do contract work for the art assets and whatnot.
Yeah.
But so they overexpanded really quickly. They branched out and made really aggressive intellectual property deals. Game of Thrones, Batman, Minecraft, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Wolf Among Us is licensed. But the thing is,
every game they put out is licensed.
Right, Tales of the Border. Right. So I would say part of it was because these IPs are so expensive. They probably sold decently for what they were, but I mean, how much does it cost to license Batman? I mean, I don't even know because every other Batman game is an in-house Warner Brothers thing. It's either, Rocksteady developed Arkham games or it's Lego games, which are...
And they were planning on making a Stranger Things game, too.
Yep. Well, that's... So, we'll get to that in a second. But I feel like a failure on the part of the leadership was that they never tried to do at least one original thing. Original thing where it's
Well, they did Sam & Max, right? Wasn't that original?
Yeah, but that's super... That's
right, so I feel way in the past. They never brought anything back. But I don't necessarily think that they needed to do something original. I just think they needed to slow down.
Stop grabbing IPs to do. Focus on getting your stories done. The
gameplay was essentially the same in every game. It was all about the stories that you were telling. And the quality of that was dipping big time.
The other thing was it wasn't novel anymore, and we also saw that a lot of these games had that classic illusion of choice, as opposed, even though they tell you, this game reacts to your choices, but it hardly.
Clementine will remember that. It's like, okay.
But I think they would have served better if they just stuck with like 4 of their three or 4 that like Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, Borderlands, and then maybe something else.
If you finish up The Walking Dead this year, then you bring in a new IP.
Yeah, those they just wrap up those stories, let people get what they wanted from that, and
I agree.
And then move on. But don't don't release things the same. You gotta innovate a little bit. Look at what Stranger Things did, essentially with the same type of game, but it played different. And it was much more interactive.
Life is
strange. Stranger Things. Life is strange. Yeah, Life is strange. It's like the same style of game, but made it much more of a interactive thing.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing. So like you look at another studio I'll say WayForward. All right, they do a lot of licensed stuff like Kitty, whatever, like Nickelodeon,
Cartoon.
Right? Like whatever, SpongeBob. They do that because that is just good money because these companies want to pay for it, and then they supplement that and they make their own titles like Shantae or whatever, and it's a nice balance, and that way you can have 2 or more teams, and it's they're always working on one or the other, so it's a constant steady stream rather than just expensive IP. I'm not saying they should have stopped that, but I agree they should have slowed down, but having an original thing, they don't have to pay for that, they don't have to they're
it's exclusive too. You're not getting that anywhere else.
Right. Yeah. But the other thing too is, in addition to just not keeping up with tech, I feel like their release model or their monetary model, whatever you want to call it, was not great. Because I mean, all of these were story based, where it's chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and it's episodic content. Now, I think that model does not work. I don't think it's worked for years.
You might be right. Yeah, I think you might be right about that.
Because the thing is, you're banking on these people who are hey, pay $6 for episode 1, $6 for episode 2, $6 for episode 3, blah blah blah, and that's super expensive for that type of game.
I would wait until it's on sale.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
exactly.
I know. You're going.
They were so aggressive with it. And I would say, the thing that happened with me personally was I remember buying Tales of the Borderland on PlayStation 4 for $3 or something crazy on one of those PlayStation
flash
plus
sales or something.
Yeah. And I was damn, that's awesome. I can't wait to play this. And it was one of those things where I'll get to it. And then whenever they would release any other game, even if I was remotely interested, I was but I still have Tales of the Borderlands to play. I'll wait, I'll play that, and then I'll come back to this. That happened to me with
Game of Thrones. I just was
exactly. So I mean, and then $5 for an entire season. How could you ever get somebody to pay full price ever again if they're wow, I paid $5 for this?
Yeah, when they actually finish the story, then it's $5 for the season.
Yeah,
that's a slap in the face to those who bought.
Or free on PlayStation Plus for a month or something.
it wasn't a good idea. It wasn't a good model, and they overstretched. Yeah. So I mean, it's sad.
It's definitely sad, and I don't want to feel we're kicking them the company down. A lot of it, obviously, all of it was leadership based. I think the talent was great, and it's unfortunate that they're going to have to be broken up.
They just got too big for themselves and didn't know how to handle it. They thought that they could just keep doing the same thing and just put more of it. Well, we're going to do this here and it's going to make the same amount. We made $1 million on Walking Dead, so we'll put another IP and make $1 million there, and make $1 million there. It's that doesn't work that way.
They never adjusted. And apparently it's because, from what I read on Twitter, it was apparently that Batman license is super expensive because they specifically cited Batman didn't meet expectations, whatever that was. Mm-hmm. And they were banking on Netflix seal of approval, hey, we're going to pay you for the Stranger Things game. Apparently whatever Netflix saw, they backed out of the deal. They're no, we can't do this. And just were nope, pulled the plug, and they didn't have money to pay for people. That's why they laid off everybody but 25 people.
It's funny you say that because I remember when that was first announced, we were wondering, Stranger Things is based on, live action kids as characters. Everything else they've done has been cartoons or I mean, I guess aside from Game of Thrones, but everything else has been.
Well, The Walking Dead, and I mean, I guess
Walking Dead's based on the comic.
Yeah,
Again,
true.
everyone else, they don't have like actual like real people that things are based on, or not based directly. Like, we didn't know what they were going to do with that, so I'm not surprised Netflix saw whatever they did do and was just like,
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, I mean, that's probably what happened.
It's like there's some images of the concept art of that stuff out there, and it's like a comment on one of the threads there. That was pretty funny. It's like, when you do the big eye thing, it can either be really cute and adorable or super creepy. I don't know which one this is.
So, all right, it's sad news. All right, let's go into, well, we have our topic tonight, which is classic consoles obviously be coming out. There's a new one coming out soon. Sony just announced their PlayStation 1 Classic. PlayStation Classic coming out December 3rd for $100 with 20 games on it.
Totally didn't even like, they totally Phillipped the shit out of this. And yes, I'm using Philip as a verb because like it's straight up like the name. And like I get like, you know, maybe a couple like other words for it don't sound as nice, but like literally like PlayStation Classic and then the combination, the marketing angles were like, it's like, hey, look, a mini console in your hand. It's like, wow, that's so weird, you know, like, where'd you come up with that idea?
So this ties into like our topic of the night is basically these classic consoles, and you know, do we like them, dislike them? Is there an idea like, do we like
it's pretty funny how Nintendo like changed the game with them, because these things have been around forever.
Yeah,
like, it's like you could get them for like $50 for like a Genesis for $50. I actually played Genesis games too.
Which is is my biggest issue with these new things, since
because they just have whatever they have. But like, and they had like all those plug and play Ataris and whatever. Yeah. Like they had a ton of this stuff out there, and it's like it's all out there. But once like Nintendo kind of officially made it, and the quality was there, and the nostalgia factor, it was just like great timing for everything. And now it's like blown up. Where
I mean, this is sold out.
You don't have one.
Classic sold out, right? I mean, I think it's sold out today for a couple things. I don't know. I was seeing posts that they were sold out in certain sites, but I think that. There's definitely interest in this stuff. My whole thing is like after experiencing Switch Online last week with these NES games, these classic games that are on there, they run fantastic on the Switch. I wish, first of all, we didn't talk about that in the podcast, which we're on now, but I don't like the D-pad on that Switch controller. I can't. Oh god, it's driving me nuts. But
on the Joy-Con?
Get the NES pads.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, the games run. I mean, I can't believe how fast those games run. They just load up so quick. It's great.
I said that. I was like, I can't. Like, it's just like Xenon, you're back out.
Yeah,
and then
it runs great. I just wish they had a better D-pad. But anyways, maybe that's the point of these classic consoles. Like, you get your system, you get that controller again, and then you get to play these games in that same form. Maybe that's what they're going for with this. And
well, they need to be better.
They
need to be better, like obviously, because
like save points, you know.
Yeah, well, it's like if you're gonna bring this back, you can't just put out what they had. They have to load faster, obviously. Things have to be look better, you know, because CRTs and whatever.
Yeah, better resolution screens now. Yeah.
Sure. So like they do have to like adjust it, and I think that's where these can succeed more so than like the $50 things at Walmart that plug in and just play.
Well, yeah, I mean, right, because, like, you know, not to cut you off, but, like, I mean, those things, like, are janky as hell. Like, I don't know if you guys have played, but, like, they're terrible. Like, the emulation isn't good. The image quality is terrible. Like, and, you know, again, I would say a lot of the games on, like, at least, like, the Atari stuff is just, like, it's not fun. Like, I mean, it's, like, novel for, like, a couple minutes, but it's just, like, for the most part, like, nobody's
it's like
gonna
those
be, like...
Tiger, like...
Yeah, Tiger Electronics. Like, they're cute for a couple minutes, but, you know, it's not going to keep your attention. But with the classic, I think it's proof. The proof is in the pudding, because Sega, again, who's been licensing this stuff out for decades. Like, I'm pretty sure I remember 20 years ago when I was at Toys R Us, right? But like, they finally dropped the fucking company they've been using to make their products, and they're like, no, we're gonna develop this in house now. So like, they cut the cord with that company, and they're developing like the Sega Mega Drive Classic Mini or whatever the hell they're gonna call it. But unfortunately, because of this, it got delayed until next year. So expect it next year. But you see that, NES Classic. I mean, Jim, I remember you so pissed off. I can't find this unicorn. It's a unicorn.
Yeah, I know.
Not making fun of you.
No,
but like
I know.
That, I remember you getting heated about that.
Yeah.
And it was like the hottest selling item of that Christmas season. I remember it's like that and like Amiibo were the only things Nintendo had that season.
Yeah, I was so pissed I could not find one when I wanted one.
Right. But then you look like SNK just came out with like their like mini arcade, and the novelty behind that is it is a mini arcade cabinet thing with like little joysticks and little buttons and stuff like that. And now Sony's tossing their hat in the ring.
With this, the PS Classic. Did they have the games announced yet for this? What's going to be on this one?
Yeah, they had a bunch of them.
I don't know.
Not the whole list.
Not the whole list. Yeah. So I think that I don't know. I think they're good for the nostalgia of it and getting people's interest back into looking at your gaming system. And maybe that's what Sony's going for with the PlayStation Classic. I mean, you can drum up a lot of positive PR and a lot of interest in your systems by bringing back some players that maybe aren't playing games anymore by saying, hey, I want to play my PlayStation Classic again and play Final Fantasy VII for the 500th time.
The thing for me with these is they're just a collectible item. I would not even play them.
I haven't even really played my Super Nintendo. I have the SNES, and I haven't
even bought any of these because I just have no interest in.
It's out. It's here, but it's sitting on the shelf, and I haven't really even played it. So I've probably played more of my Switch.
And you've seen the mini Nintendo system too.
Yeah, but I mean, I've played more on my Switch just recently this last week with the classic games than I have with their original consoles.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like the experience of the Switch is just. Like, if you're going to play a game like this and it's going to run fine on the Switch, like, why wouldn't you want to be stuck and tethered to your television?
Exactly. So I haven't even docked it playing these games yet. I don't even know what that looks like. But I don't know. I understand what they exist for, those collectors, people that want the... This is going to sell very well, this system. It really will.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, the thing is, with the classic systems, I think it's a combination. Like, it hits on multiple layers. Like, it's a Venn diagram. So, like, you have the people who it's, like, aimed at nostalgia. Like, oh, man, like, this is my thing of the childhood. Like, I mean, Mike, if the Spyro collection were on this thing and the remastered stuff wasn't coming out, like, and Ashley heard about that, she'd strong-arm you to get that. I guarantee it. Like, you're getting that now. But, so it's the nostalgia, like, that's what I had growing up, with the NES, the SNES, the PlayStation. And then, Corey, like, you hit the nail on the head. Like, this is a collector thing. Like, I own the SNES Classic. I've only played it a handful of times because I own most of those games, like, on the actual console. Yeah. Or, I have an emulator of all the games I want to play. But it's a cool novelty item where just like, look, it's like a little SNES. But, genuine control and stuff like that. And then, third I would say is like people who are like, wow, like, because those games that are on at least the Nintendo Classics, like, those are pretty expensive actually. If you were to buy the cartridges individually, and that's if you had the system and the controllers working as is, like some of those games are like super expensive. You're going to spend more on the games than you would just buying that whole all-in-one package and stuff like that. Not to mention with the SNES Classic, they threw in Star Fox 2, which was they literally finished a Super Nintendo game just so they could throw it in there as like an exclusive like thing. So for me, obviously, it's a good move for Sony. I think it's going to do gangbusters, obviously. It's good. Whatever they produce, they're going to sell out. I do think we're probably reaching the threshold of price limit, though, because this is like $99.99.
The most expensive one.
It's the most expensive one. And, I mean, if you think about it, like, that's I'm assuming this Black Friday, you're going to see PlayStation 4s and Xbox Ones for $200. So it's like $100 PS1 or $200 PS4, or Xbox One.
You can only play 20 games on as well.
Right, exactly.
And the thing about this, though, is like, what are those games, and are they available anywhere else, though?
And that's where I agree with you. I know we were talking about this at your party last week, Michael, with Ashley. A lot of, in my opinion, a good bulk of at least the popular PlayStation 1 games you could play on a newer system, or they have a game that's pretty much the equivalent, just in HD resolution or something like that. Like is anybody really gonna want to play Gran Turismo 1 or 2 when like you have like 3 or 4 different HD versions of Gran Turismo? Because to me that's more of a like graphical experience game rather than like, oh, like this is.
I want to go back and play this.
Right, I want to go back and play this. So there's that factor to it, and I think or like the Crash Collection, like the Crash Collection, Spyro Collection. Right, exactly. Yeah. It's a product. Like Final Fantasy VII, that's a headliner, sure, but like it's on everything. Like they just announced it's coming to Switch. The remake is on its way. So it's just like, what could they
play it
do
on your
like,
phone?
Right, you can play it on your phone. So like to me, like the advantage of that, the PlayStation 1 is a little less. So I am interested in seeing what selection they come up with. But either way, I still agree it's going to sell out.
Yeah,
whatever
it will sell out, and I do agree with you. I think a lot of it is a graphical experience from the PlayStation and like how amazing Gran Turismo 2 was, and like Final Fantasy 7, like you said, you can play the better versions of that on like the PC version or on the you can get the game cheap on PlayStation 4 right now, if, PlayStation Classic on it. So it's like
I do think that there's not too many like PC gamers who would get something like this just because this like sort of targets people who want stuff really easy.
Sure, yeah, I understand that, but like I don't know if I want to play like I'm not getting this system. I don't know if I want to play. It's something about like for me the nostalgia of the SNES, and this is a different crowd. SNES and the NES for me is worth playing those games. Like I haven't gotten the NES Classic. I don't know if I will, but the SNES was definite for me, and I do like that. I haven't played it much, but I do have that console because it's like F-Zero and Super Mario, and that's for me. Those are the games I would go back and play.
You grew up on that too.
Yeah,
Jimmy.
There's also
but that's the idea behind. I think that's the idea behind the PlayStation Classic, and that's to get those people that grew up on that. I think
obviously, the whole thing is a collector's thing.
Sure,
you can play these anywhere. You can play these games all over the place.
It's not for me. So.
It's also what's funny is I never played probably most of these games because I had an N64 at the time. But
yeah,
going back, this is the first one of these classic systems that it's largely a 3D console, and that's not something we've seen so far. And as everyone remembers, or maybe they don't, the oldest 3D games are all not good looking anymore. You could go back. You could go back to like the 16-bit.
Was that Toshiden or something? Like
Toshiden.
You could go back to the 16-bit era, and you're like, "Oh, wait, this looks better than I thought it would."
Different graphical ideas, like different ways.
Totally different things. So
sprites don't age. Yeah, sprites don't age.
Well, that's why it might seem like objectively better to go back to those things, other than like everyone's personal connection to what they grew up with. But for me, it's also
they have to make them look better too.
Yes. Well, I don't know what they can do with this. This is all like polygon counts that are the issue, not.
Well, that's what a lot of people have been saying about the N64 Classic coming, because that dealt with a lot of these, and that's the worry for a lot of people. It's like, is that going to hold up?
But I mean, they did some pretty cool things with Mario 64 to make it look better.
Certain games will, but I was thinking about Shadows of the Empire or something on that.
Right. So like the thing with the N64 stuff, like a lot of those games, it's just like the N64 couldn't display in a better resolution. So like just. If you look at like the N64 emulators that exist, they'll take the base game. Like, you can play it in the like exact N64 mode, if that's what you want. But you can play it in like a more like enhanced mode where it's like it uses the power of the PC and all that stuff, and it just looks better. Like it's not as detailed as like obviously Mario Odyssey or something, but like it looks better. Like the draw distance is better. The frame rate.
Just look at what Xbox is doing with their backwards
exactly. That's exactly. Thank you. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, speaking Microsoft terms with Jim sometimes.
But no, I've seen that. I've seen like on YouTube, and I don't know what it's running through, but you've seen like GoldenEye or Mario 64 looking way better than it actually did, but it's still the same. It's not like totally rebuilt. It's the same stuff. It's just better.
Yeah.
So, and I almost feel like the difference between the N64 and PlayStation might be bigger because of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All I know is, I don't know. There's just more nostalgia for me on the Nintendo side of things for this.
Sure. Definitely. I never played any of these games, and I go back and think, I don't necessarily need to.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I'll probably get an N64 Classic myself. I'll probably get one.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of one game I would love to play in PlayStation Classic. And the big ones for me are Final Fantasy 7, but we already talked about that. Resident Evil 2, it's having a remake in February.
Yeah, we're in February.
And like the other stuff that I do love that isn't available on the other systems or whatever hasn't been, or like niche.
The only thing I
Japanese
saw on there actually for me was like Wild Arms. I'd be interested in playing the game, but other than that, it's like I can play that elsewhere. I can even play that somewhere else.
Yeah.
But again, for me, all these classic systems, I would just be getting because I would want to put them out and like display them or something.
I think it's more of that's what
I would love like when I move into a bigger place, like just have an entertainment center and just like mini console. Just like it'd be cool. I don't know. In my opinion,
like
for me, I rather
have the old ones, the real ones.
Yeah, I rather have the real. I do have most of the real ones.
Yeah.
Real ones. So my N64 works fine.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, though. I don't know if there's any PlayStations that work anymore that are this old.
You gotta flip them upside down, right?
Those disk drives were garbage.
I remember doing that all the time. Oh well, we gotta turn this on its head. And black discs as well.
Yeah. The last thing I want to say about this topic, and I don't want to get too deep into it, we could probably talk about another day, but the thing that kind of upsets me on a little bit more on the Sony side than the Nintendo side is just that I feel like, and I've talked about this before, like how PlayStation 4 doesn't have the PS1, PS2, PS3, like I bought games like Castlevania Symphony 9, I bought like Suikoden 1 and stuff like that on PlayStation Network, so I could play it on my PlayStation 3, either never got around to it, never finished it, and like now it's like, well, it's not available on PlayStation 4. It's like, well, I don't want to keep my PS3 hooked up anymore because like, what's the fucking point? So I'm kind of mad that it's like, and the one guy even said like, who wants to play these old games? I'm like, well, okay, I made the point with Gran Turismo, but like for these niche like Japanese like RPGs, which is like my thing, which weren't successful enough to warrant sequels, they just never made sequels. It's like I bought this game because you released it, like Xenogears, and I can't play it now because it's on my PlayStation.
I kept my Vita around for a long time.
I know.
Because I wanted to play that game, and I actually never finished it on my Vita.
So I'm a little upset at Sony on that side of things. Nintendo, they're going to get there with their NES Online and Super Nintendo and stuff like that. So
hopefully.
I mean, the other thing that this feels like, especially after those comments by that guy from Sony, is it just feels like a cash grab too.
It does. I think this is what it is. It really is like 100%. That. They're gonna because they're gonna.
Right, and I've talked about this before, but like this is one of those blatant, like, oh, Nintendo did this. All right, I guess we can do this too. It's like, all right. But whatever. It's all right. Competition is good.
Yeah, it is. All right, I think that's gonna wrap up 414 of the Gamecast. Thanks for listening. Write us podcast at allycangeek.net. Follow us on Twitter, allycangeek. Like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tune in next week. We'll try to get our spoiler cast together for Spider-Man, I hope. And then we can finally put that to rest and stop talking about it. Sorry, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this episode. See you next week.